Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm reading Crime and Punishment. And I finished part five. Um, I had the day off, and I'm already reading part six. And uh, the evening is still young, and I have a feeling that I might even be just finishing the book tonight. And I thought, if I don't make a video now, if I don't talk about um, the events of part five, I'm going to finish the book and then have several videos to make in a confused, less organized manner. So, part five is a fever dream. Um, One of the things that I think about in this story, where we have a character who we're following so closely, we are involved and enwrapped in his psychology and his view of the world. Even though we're not sympathetic to him, there's a lot of ironic tones and sometimes even mockery in the way that Raskolnikov can be portrayed to be just such a ridiculous figure, especially in his own thought processes, how he sees himself in comparison to the rest of the world. The novel does depart from Raskolnikov, and it's been a very long time since I've read the book, and it's enjoyable, and it's also such a surprise to realize how many parts of the book we leave Raskolnikov entirely. And I think about the other books that I've read by Dostoevsky, and primarily I've been having the Karamazov brothers on the mind, where you'll have a novel that has a premise, it has a hook, it has a big story. And in Crime and Punishment, you can't find a more direct story. You have someone that committed an absurd, unmotivated, ill planned murder, and then we follow him from his perspective. What Dostoevsky just marvels at doing is having a side story, having the backstories, which seem to just sort of uh, build up the main story, build up the main character. And as you get into the novel, at least for me, upon rereading this past reading and thinking, well, maybe I have it all reversed. The backstory where we have Raskolnikov's family, his mother and his sister who have come into town. The sister has committed herself to marrying this well-to-do, less than pleasant, less than moral, upright character, in the hopes of benefiting the family. It's going to be a marriage of transaction. The suitor will get what he wants. He wants to have a demure, low class wife who will be forever grateful. The wife, the sister of Raskolnikov, will have some more financial stability. No love is involved, but it's going to be mutually beneficial. We have this other just ridiculous side story where Raskolnikov randomly meets a guy in the bar. He tells him his whole backstory, his whole life story. He was going to be a civil servant. He was going to be well-to-do. He was going to succeed in life, and he drinks it all away, leaving his family just in wreck and ruin and misery. That's where Raskolnikov meets him at the bar. And he goes stumbling home. Raskolnikov is helping him home. And we just come across this pitiful, pathetic sight of a family um, miserable in destitution. The wife of this drunkard is consumptive, coughing up blood, spending her nights scrubbing clothing down to sheets and rags. There's children on the floor not wearing clothes, crying. And this is like these orbital stories around Raskolnikov and this main event that we're here for. And in part 5, we're at we had that just amazing part 4. We ended with some amazing tense exchange with Raskolnikov and Porfiry. One of the best chapters in the novel. And then we go to this funeral feast, which is explosive. It's just full of delirium, excitement, madness. We get so many examples of characters at the edge of sanity, and all the different ways that characters can make that path, through just sheer insanity, through grief, through malnutrition, through gloating, through love, through pride and vanity, through maliciousness and anger. We have characters all pushed right to the edges. It's not just Raskolnikov who's fighting his own demons. All of these characters swirling around seem like the demons that he's fighting. But Raskolnikov gets drowned out, and we're left with this family who, in many ways, reminds me of the family in the Karamazov brothers. The little boy that's dying, we go to their house, we see the family in there, we spend time with these children. And in the Karamazov brothers, when I had read it again, the story of the children, the schoolboys, and the rest of the family, seemed to not just be a side story or a backstory, but an integral part to parallel the main story, as if the backstory is the important part, and we're using the crime, we're using Raskolnikov to exemplify and show the important part, a little bit of excitement to get to the heart of the matter. Because we have that drunkard that Raskolnikov had met. Through a delirious night, Raskolnikov encounters this horrendous scene where that man had swerved into a carriage being pulled by horses, and he's trampled nearly to death, and he's pulled into this house. We're back in there, and he eventually dies. Raskolnikov gives the family money. He meets Sonia, one of the daughters, who's a prostitute, and she has sacrificed her body, her pride, her dignity, her innocence, in an exchange to maybe make the family a little bit better. Very much like Raskolnikov's sister, who had this transactional idea of a marriage to make her family a little better, which is also very similar to Raskolnikov's insane idea, or maybe a delirious excuse of an idea that he thought of afterwards, murdering the woman. Maybe he can make things a little bit better with the money that he got. And so we have the same story over and over again throughout this book. There's so many situations where the pieces are all moved around, but it comes down to the same idea of what are you willing to sacrifice? And I think about like the name of the novel, which is Crime and Punishment. What are the crimes? What are the punishments? And a punishment is inflicted on the person that's committing the crime. It's not crime and justice, which would be the effect of the person that was injured, or society at large that is injured. I'm kind of rambling along, but the chapter 5 is such a whirlwind. That just explosive scene at the funeral dinner, but there's two key moments. We have the rebuked suitor. I'm terrible at names, I can't pronounce them, but he comes barging in, and Raskolnikov is there, the whole family, and because of an earlier scene, but he accuses, he set up this, he's bitter, and he's come up with this plan, this evil plan, but he breaks in and he accuses Sonia of stealing a 100 ruble note, and it's in front of the whole family. There's other people there, loved ones, friends, other neighbors. It's a whole crowded room, which it should be. One of the things that amazes me about Dostoevsky is how skillful he is at being able to depict a crowd scene. He can obviously depict a single character and all of the psychological insights and these really great dialogues and all of those things. It's an amazing writer, but to have scenes where you just have a room packed with people and you're reading it and it's so exciting, it's so gripping. You have a sense of where everybody is in the room, who's standing where, who's up against a wall, who's seated, who's confronting one another, where they're moving around, how their actions are being reacted to who's doing what, all of those things. And it reads just like this exciting movie. You can see everybody moving around in the crowd, and it amazes me every time I come across one of these crowd scenes in a Dostoevsky novel. The other one with Dmitri, when he goes to the hotel and he's drinking and he has all of the money, it's very similar to that. But the rebuked suitor is there, and Katerina, the mother, the widow, the mother of Sonia and the widow of the man that was trampled by the horse, just loses her mind. Sonia is whispering, going, "Well, you gave me the 10 ruble note, but I didn't steal anything. I don't have anything." Katerina is in hysterics, shouting, screaming, and just starts pulling out the pockets of Sonia, saying, not only is she innocent, but she's the spirit of innocence. She's a genuinely good person. She'll give you the dress off of her back. She'll give you her shoes. She is not a thief. She is not a person of criminal intent. And in the doorway is that other mysterious visitor, the family that was from Raskolnikov's past. He had romantic inclinations towards Raskolnikov's sister, and he's at the doorway. all of these storylines, family relations, friend relations are all um, piling into this big tangled mess. But he's there, and the 100 ruble note comes flying out of Sonia's pocket. Raskolnikov, all the while, is leaning up against the wall in the back, watching this whole scene, cool as a cucumber, not reacting, not emoting, just watching everything play out. The 100 ruble note falls on the floor. Sonia can't believe it. The mother can't believe it. The rebuked suitor um, feels justified, knows that the mother must have believed her, otherwise she wouldn't have been pulling her pockets out. The family, or the rest of the household, the crowd of people that are in this room, are reacting as if they're seeing jump scares, just going bananas. And we have two responses. We have the visitor who is mysterious and has his own motivations, but calls out the rebuked suitor and says, "You planted it. She was over in your quarters. She was standing there, and you're shuffling around her. And when she was leaving, I saw you stick the 100 ruble note in her pocket. In fact, I followed her because I thought, well, what if it falls out? What if she throws her jacket away? I actually gave you the benefit of the doubt. I thought maybe this is just in the spirit of generosity. And now I'm witnessing this and seeing how evil you are, the crime that you're committing." Raskolnikov, in response to all of this, puts everything at least into his own perspective. This is an extortion attempt. This rebuked suitor still wants to marry Raskolnikov's sister. He believes that Sonia and Raskolnikov are either in love or have relations or want to get married. She's in ill repute, and it's this whole complicated plan. And now the rebuked suitor is just surrounded by people that now know that he's guilty. And he goes, well, none of this matters at all. I'm going to take this up with the magistrate. And the poor mother is still going bananas. She wants to take it up with the Tsar. And the whole thing breaks up. This part concludes with Raskolnikov finally confessing to somebody that he committed the murder, that he committed a crime. He visits Sonia. He's back in her apartment with those thin walls, and tells her. She can't believe it, and her first response is, well, now you've let it out, and you can start seeking forgiveness and having a path towards redemption. Raskolnikov is kind of on the fence about whether or not he's going to be turning himself in. And even almost more so than the murder, Sonia's horrified that he's explaining why he might have some justification. And she's asking him, and why he might not have to turn himself in at all. But she's asking, why did you do it? And he starts giving these explanations, and they're explanations that come up throughout the novel, and they are explanations that a reader can think about throughout the novel. They're all delirious, they're all mad, they're all solipsistic, and they're all unsatisfactory. As I was reading this and thinking, the explanation, the motive of the murder at this point in the novel is besides the point. What is crucial at this moment is Sonia's forgiveness to Raskolnikov. She is the pinnacle of goodness in this novel, the pinnacle of purity and forgiveness. And it's just so, it's this beautiful, tender moment in many, many ways. Raskolnikov finally getting this off of his chest. Sonia in horror listening to this, but also showing acceptance and forgiveness, and offering Raskolnikov direction into a path of redemption. And Raskolnikov is taking all of this in, reevaluating everything that's happened. That mysterious person at the door who is from Raskolnikov's past and his family's past and had interests in his sister and all of that, was renting the quarters next to Sonia. And earlier in the novel, with those paper-thin walls, heard the mad, delirious conversation that they had earlier. But he's there again, eavesdropping. And we have another unexpected visitor. The whole novel is people just showing up uninvited. But we have this like big cliffhanger where the guy says, "I heard you. I heard your confession." It's incredible. Part 5 is just so gripping. I'm racing now. I'm sure that I'm going to finish the book tonight. So we're left with part 6, the proper conclusion of the novel, and then we'll have an epilogue. I'll make a video for each. Let me know if you're reading along. If you've read it, let me know what your thoughts are on the book or part 5 and all of that. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you, and take care.